25th Amendment is a remote possibility, but if people around him don't think that this guy is absolutely bat crap crazy, they are mistaken.
Yeah, I want everybody to stand by. I'm going to get your thoughts on it. I need to go to Miguel Marquez. Miguel, I understand there's a crowd outside of the convention center, and there's chaos. Go, take it away, Miguel.
Yeah, police are now deploying gas, trying to disperse this crowd. There were a couple of bottles of water thrown at police. They immediately began putting out, there goes another bottle at police. They immediately began with pepper spray. This appears to be gas. You can see them doing, whoa, 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 look, watch it, look. So these are, for the most part, gas canisters. You can see this person picking it up and throwing it back at police now. This is the situation. That's a flashbang grenade trying to get the crowd to go home and to disperse them. They sat out here, several thousand people, it seems, for most of the day. They began to maybe go home during the president's speech, some of them, but for the most part, they have stuck around. They are putting out very heavy gas right now. Looking for my colleagues, making sure we're all together. And the police in very heavy gear. They have helmets on, gloves. Clearly they are deploying both smoke grenades and pepper spray as well. You can see another canister there. They are also using flashbang grenades. Here comes another gas canister.
Miguel, are you okay? If not, we can go to Gary Tuchman.
Here comes another one. Watch out, look up, look up, look up. This gas does not appear to have any sort of effect on individuals. Somebody now attacking the barricades here. This gas doesn't appear to have any sort of effect. The barricades have now been broken where we are, which is going to concern police. They have taken great care to make sure that those barricades stay up. You have most of, if not all, of the Phoenix police force out here. This is an all hands on deck situation. Oh! All right, now they are deploying a much heavier gas. It's a
okay, Miguel, why don't you stand by? Miguel,
I got in my eyes.
Miguel, stand by, and we'll keep your camera up as long as you can, and we'll come back. Let us know when you're ready, and we're gonna go to we're gonna go to Gary Tuchman. So stand by, Miguel. Okay, Gary Tuchman, you're outside. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, Don, just what Miguel was saying. The police have deployed tear gas and some concussion ordnance that has startled people here. There hasn't been any violence so far, and that's the good news. But the tear gas here is very acute. Most people have left. You can see there's a riot police wearing their shield, their helmets, but all of our faces right now are burning, our throats are burning as they've sprayed it. Why did it happen? I don't know the answer. There were some water bottles that were thrown at police, and the next thing we felt was the burning tear gas. One thing I do want to tell you, Don, during Donald Trump's speech, you haven't mentioned this just yet. The very first thing he said, Donald Trump, wasn't true, that there were very few people out here. There were thousands of demonstrators here. A lot of them have left now because of the tear gas. One other thing I could tell you is his speech went for an hour and 15 minutes. For the last half hour of his speech, people were streaming out. We saw it on the bridges leading out of these buildings. So people were streaming out of his speech while he was talking about not many people being here. But right now, no violence so far, but there's a lot of startled protesters out here as the police have gone into action. Don?
All right, Gary, thank you. I want you to stand by. We'll keep your pictures up as well. We'll keep Miguel's pictures up. And I just want to go back to the panelists. And what I said, panelists, and Scott Jennings, I'm going to get your response to this first. When I said this is a person who is supposed to unite the country, who's supposed to be bigger than everyone else, who's clearly supposed to humble himself to critics, and if there is a rough time in America, supposed to listen to everyone. This is not bringing people together. Nothing he said tonight brought people together. James Clapper is a former director of national intelligence, and we thank you, Mr. Clapper. Thank you for your service to the country. We thank you for coming on this evening. We want to get back now to what's happening. This is at Phoenix, outside the convention center. You can see there's still some disturbances going on. You saw our Gary Tucker and our Miguel Marquez both there earlier this evening, being overcome with gas that the police were throwing to try to disperse the protesters, and you see some on the streets. I'm not sure if we have our correspondents with us now. but we'll just show you what's happening with the pictures. Why don't we get out to CNN's Miguel Marquez, who's been in the middle of this all evening. Miguel, what are you seeing on the streets of Phoenix right now?
All right, what you're looking at now is this car that got caught in this. You can see the police down at the end of the street. They have pushed now the protesters back 1 block away from the convention center. They are using pepper spray, gas, and flashbang grenades, where they're shooting them over the heads of protesters, and they make a very loud sound, basically scaring people and getting them to disperse. We are at 2nd and Van Buren, between Van Buren and Polk. There are protesters now scattered on 3rd Street as well as 1st Street, and police are trying to move the protesters back and make them disperse. Most have gone home, but I will tell you what set this off was right in front of the doors, the north doors of the convention center. There were a couple of water bottles thrown at police. They then used pepper spray. That enraged the crowd. They started to pull back. Things started to be thrown at police, and police moved in very, very heavy force. Within about 2 or 3 minutes, police had half riot gear on, but then they had full riot gear on. They were using pepper spray pretty much at will. In some cases, they seemed to be using the pepper bullets, which they would shoot certain people in the legs. We saw people, limping away. We saw people throwing up. We saw protesters extraordinarily angry at the use of police force. I will tell you, there were old and young people out there today protesting. They were waiting, I think, for the Trump voters, the Trump supporters to start to leave, and they wanted to sort of mix it up with them and shout at them. You can see some now protesters walking and sort of flouting the police. We have the helicopter for Phoenix police right overhead. They are making announcements saying, disperse or you're subject to arrest. Police trying to get in control of this situation, but clearly they came at protesters with great force.
Miguel, keep safe out there. We'll get back to Miguel Marquez on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona, where the president held I don't even know how to describe the speech this evening. I want to bring in David Chalian because, David,